Hey, 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 and welcome back to
God, you're making me crazy. I'm Ayala,
And I'm Christina.
and this is going to be the last time you hear of Christina today.
Knowing me, that's probably not going to be true, but
Yeah, she said she'll take the back seat for now.
did I? I don't remember saying that.
Yeah, you
But
did.
okay, Ayala.
Yeah. Anyways, so first we're going to start off with a word of prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for this day, and I thank you for this ability to come and speak about you and speak as your vessel, Lord. I pray as this episode goes on, Lord, that the people listening's hearts are touched, Lord, and that they need to hear what they may have been wanting an answer for a while. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Now, to get started, I feel like this is one of the biggest or most important topics to me is your relationship with God, because I know I struggled with it for a while and how to build it and grow it. And I know if I was struggling, then most likely other people were as well. And I just want to start out with comparison is a killer. I know for me, I compared my relationship off of other people's, and that was a hindrance to my relationship with God, because I kept feeling like I had to do this, I had to do that, I had to do all these things, and why wasn't I doing it? And if I'm not doing it, then what does that mean for my relationship with God? And going into it more and doing a deeper dive and actually trying to figure it out and going to God, I just kept hearing, Ayala, if I made you differently than everybody else, why would my relationship be the same with everybody? And I was like, dang, why did I ever think that? And it may be a little easier said than done, because Satan does try using pinning of other people against each other as a way to get you away from God. And I feel like for me, that was the biggest thing that he tried doing, because I valued so much other people's opinions. And a verse that kept coming to me was Galatians 1:10, where it says, "Who are you to serve others?" I'm paraphrasing, but essentially it's you're not to serve other people, you're to serve God. And if you're serving other people and trying to serve God at the same time, you're not serving God. Because how can you have 2 feet in 2 different things and still say that you're for one person? And I don't know if that necessarily makes sense or not, but
It does. It's like, how can you serve 2 masters? Is that the reference that you're...
Yes. If you're trying to have 2 feet on separate areas, your foundation isn't strong. You need both feet down together to be able to stand, and if you separate that, you're gonna fall. And that's just, I guess, an easier way of picturing it in my mind. If you don't have a firm foundation in Christ and have both your feet planted on him solely, your relationship's gonna falter and it's not gonna be able to grow. And that was just something that took a while for me to figure out, because I kept searching other places. I kept searching in places that weren't God. And it's like, Ayala, if you're trying to have a relationship with God, why aren't you searching for him first? And that was definitely a smack in the face when I first started thinking about it. But it was so cool to see as well. And yeah, I know something that definitely helps me a lot was in Psalm 139. He's literally telling us how he created us wonderfully and in our mother's womb. He was there, hand knitting everything about us. And he made us perfect. There's no mistakes in how he made us. And comparison, again, is a killer because it tries to nitpick everything different between you and other people. And it's like, no one else is the same. I mean, if we're the same, we would have the same thoughts, the same feelings. We'd be the same person, and we're not. We would have the same struggles. And there's so many people who their struggles are not the same as other people. And that's how they feel alone, because it's like, wait a moment, I don't see anybody else around me having that same thought or emotion or experience in life. And we're not meant to have those. We're not meant to have the same exact pathway in life, because God didn't create us as all hands or all feet. He created us as a body. And a body has a hand, well, 2 hands, 2 feet, a head, a torso, and legs. Like, he didn't just create one single part of a body. He created the entire body, and they all have different functions and different uses. And I guess that's like something you should think about when having a relationship with Christ, because one person might be a hand and one person might be a foot. But regardless of it, it is perfect. Regardless of the differences in that relationship, they are perfect. I think one of the biggest things that helped me with getting out of the mentality of trying to compare myself to others is, I guess, one, looking at my siblings and I, like, we all were birthed from the same mom, and we all each have, like, we're all our own person. Like, for one, my brother and I are both really, really tall. My sister is tall but shorter than us.
Shade.
No. She is really tall, actually. But in comparison, my brother and I, well, my brother more so skyrockets out of us. Like, I literally have to look up, and I'm like, dude, why? You're the youngest. What's going on? But, like, even with just that, we're different. And then with our personalities, I mean, all of us are so different as well. Like, my sister and I, well, all of us are definitely very, like, quiet in comparison. But, like, my sister is very musical. Like, very musical. She's so creative in that aspect. And my brother's very sporty. And I mean, he's not just sporty, he's also creative in his own aspects, but there are just differences within that. And then I'm more observant, and, like, I have more of a mothering nature, I guess is how
Yes, you do.
say.
I can confirm. I can testify. You do.
Yeah. And, like, we've seen that since we were young. Like, all of us had differences. And if we're from the same family, we share the same genetics, and we all came out different, how are we going to compare each other to everyone else in the family of Christ? Like, we're all different in that way. And something else is, we're warned about false prophets who are wolves in sheep's clothing. How do we know that the people we're comparing ourselves to aren't those wolves? Like, they may look like they have the perfect relationship with Christ, but we don't actually know their relationship with Christ. You only know your relationship with Christ. You don't know other people's, unless God shows you that. And, like, each relationship is unique and personal to that person. And why are we going to compare ourselves to somebody else's unique relationship with Christ? Like, we're supposed to have our own, and it's supposed to be different for a reason. And I know, for me, I looked to people who had, like, the perfect relationship with Christ. And then I grew up older, and I saw that that perfect relationship was fake. Like, they appeared outwardly like they were strong, that they had a strong foundation, and that they're standing on the rock. In reality, they're crumbling, they're sinking sand that just kept pulling them down and down. And then when it got too much, it finally cracked through the surface, and we saw that perfect foundation become sand. Yeah.
I think that's also important for other people who portray that they have a strong relationship with Christ, there's a flip side to it,
Mm.
where it was that you used to be a role model for people, where, you know, people always said, oh, look at her or him, he or she has such an important, good, strong relationship with Christ. But and maybe once you did, but over time it started becoming more of a charade that you hid behind, more of like a weight or responsibility that you had to portray to others, as that you were strong in your relationship with Christ and your foundation. And none of that matters if you don't actually have a relationship with Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that's a good reminder, where if we stop trying to pretend for others that we have a good relationship with Christ, then once we stop trying to pretend, maybe we can actually focus on getting closer to Him. It's supposed to be a fun journey, a relaxing journey, one with rest, with new learning, with new experiences, instead of a weight, or instead of something that's tiring, or something that you have to, that weighs you down to keep it up.
Yeah. And I mean, even for me, I felt like for a while I put on a facade of, oh yeah, I'm a Christian, without actually knowing God. And like people around me, like, oh yeah, there's the Christian girl who's all this and that. And in reality, I was not in a relationship with Christ at that point. I didn't know exactly what to do. And it wasn't until I decided for myself to actually grow and strengthen my relationship that it started showing to other people in the way it was supposed to. And on that note, we are getting to an end of this segment, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
All right, welcome back to
God, You're Making Me Crazy. And Christina, go back to your corner.
Fine.
Okay, and now that she's gone out of the way, let's dive into it. Something that I wanted to touch on a little bit more is Galatians 1:10, where it says, am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. And I feel like that is just like a good comparison to like when it talks about lukewarm Christians being like thrown out of his mouth in Revelations, goodness. Because essentially like one foot is on the side of trying to please human beings and on the other is a foot on God's side. And it's like you can't serve both people and God at the same time. And that was something that I see a lot of people struggling with, as well as myself. Like, we're so big on trying to compare our lives or please other people because, oh, we don't want to roughen the situation or like shake the boat. And it's like, we have to remember Jesus was killed because he offended other people. And if a perfect, amazing person like God was offensive to people who are anything but perfect, how are we who are imperfect in ourselves supposed to go around in life trying to be the person that everyone wants us to be? That expectation is not something that we're supposed to have on our shoulders. It's not something that we're even supposed to like try and complete, because it's something that can never be completed. Like, we're never going to be able to please everybody. And it can be hard at times because it's like, oh, but I don't want to upset that person, or I don't want to bring conflict into something. And sometimes the only way to get out of a situation is to bring conflict into things. And that doesn't necessarily...
Fight.
She's out of her corner. Go back. Go back.
Fine.
But, like, communication is one of the biggest foundations in relationships, and communication does not mean that everyone agrees on everything. We can have disagreements, and I mean, even my relationships with my friends now, like, we don't agree on everything, and that's okay. That's what makes the relationship stronger and more beautiful, because if you all had the same opinions and everything, it would be like 500 different robots all just being like, yes, 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 or no, no, no at the same time. And it's like, we need to be able to build our perspectives, and we can't do that if the only thing we're hearing is the same thing.
Can I interject here?
Yes.
I think that's also really important, because that is what tolerance is. When people say, oh, being tolerant is agreeing with another person's idea, or agreeing with the fact that everyone can have their own idea, or whatever it is, like, that's not tolerance. Tolerance is, I can disagree with you, but I'm still gonna be nice and respect you as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And in the way that I come across, in the way that I talk to you, the way that I treat you, that's tolerance. Tolerance isn't, oh, I disagree with you. Like, or no, rather, intolerance isn't, wait, I'm confused. It isn't intolerant to disagree with someone. That's not what tolerance is. Tolerance isn't agreeing with everything that someone says. You're allowed to have different opinions. That's what it is, an opinion, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, like, I know from my experiences, when I was only hearing one side of a story, you're missing out on the other side. Just because that doesn't necessarily mean that the other side is correct. But the way you build your opinion is on hearing numerous things and going back to your foundation and seeing, where does this agree and where does this line up. And if you don't have all sides, you can't do that. You're building from an incomplete puzzle. And that was just like a really interesting thing to go into, because for the longest time I was trying to build a foundation on one half of a puzzle when you needed both to click in. And you can't have both without seeing different sides to things. And that was really hard actually to accept, because growing up it felt like if I had a disagreeing opinion on something, then it was unsafe or it was my fault for not agreeing. And it created a situation where I just allowed myself to be numbed from everything else. Like, if it wasn't something that aligned with other people around me's opinions, then it wasn't something that I was going to allow myself to do or feel, because, I needed to keep the boat afloat and not rock it. And that created a whole can of worms that just kept growing and growing and growing. And then it slowly began to overflow, and then things started crumbling out, and then everyone was like, whoa, I didn't realize that was how you thought. And it was like, I've been thinking that for a while. And it would have been a so much easier situation, even if it was hard in that moment, if I had just stuck with what I thought in the beginning, instead of creating this lie of feeling like everything that other people said was something that I agreed with. Because at that moment in time, it was, oh yay, well, I think this, and so does she. And then it's like, wait a moment, but I don't agree with that. And even now, like, once I have that perspective of like, hey, it's okay to not agree with everything that people say. Like, you're allowed to have a differing opinion on it. Like, I can find myself going like, it's okay, or nodding my head or being like, yeah. And it's like, wait a moment, Ayala, you don't agree with that. Why are you doing that? And it's like you're placating somebody else's feelings when in that moment, maybe that person needs to hear the other side of the story. Maybe they need to hear a differing opinion because what they're going into can be more harmful than good. And I mean, again, it's so much easier said than done because at times it's like, wait a moment, I just want to stay afloat. And sometimes staying afloat doesn't actually help you. Sometimes you need to be able to be pushed in or feel the water splash on you a little bit for you to be awakened into what you actually need to learn or what you actually need to experience. And that was a little big of a pill to swallow when I first realized that, because it's like, dang, I just allowed so much of my life to be lived by other people when I wasn't supposed to do that. I was supposed to be living for Christ, and I allowed other people to dictate what happened. And that honestly is really sad in some ways, because it's like, wait a moment, why would my opinion, why is it a bad thing to have? If they're allowed to have an opinion, why am I not allowed to? And you are allowed to have an opinion. You're allowed to disagree. You're allowed to say, I disagree. And
I think that's my favorite thing to say sometimes.
like, you are allowed to say, I don't agree with that. Now, do you then try to shame the other person for having a disagreeing opinion? No. You can ask them like, hey, why do you agree with this? Or why is your opinion on that? And from that, you may find yourself actually agreeing with them. Or you may be like, that's a good thought, but I still have my opinion on that. And that's okay. Like, you don't have to change your opinions. You can ask somebody else's opinion and still keep your own. But you're not growing your foundation if you're just staying in something and not allowing yourself to grow and not allowing yourself to build foundation, because you can't build a foundation on nothing. There's nothing to build on if there's nothing to grow. On that note, my favorite term now is we can agree to disagree.
My favorite term is just I disagree with that. Actually. But yeah. On that note, we are going to go on to a break now, and we will see you later. Have fun thinking. All right, and welcome back. Now, something that I wrote down not even like 30 minutes ago, but I just keep looking at and being like, oh my gosh, is we weren't made to enjoy God the same. If we were, we would all be the same. Same person, same struggles, and same mind. And I was like, dang. Because for so long, it felt like we were supposed to be the same. Like, everyone had to look the same. Everyone had to praise and worship God the same. And it's like, no, we're not. Like, yes, there are things that we are supposed to do, like read our Bibles and have a relationship with God, but the way we do that can look differently. If we're getting the same outcome, the input can still be different. And I know for me, like, I would look and see people like doing certain things and having certain like commitments or disciplines, and I was like, Lord, why aren't I able to do that? Why can't I do that and get the same outcome? Why can't I do that and feel the way that they are? And it's like,
because you're not supposed to. That's the way that they do it. And it works for them. And it's meant for them. But the way you do it can look and feel different. And it is supposed to be different because, again, we're not the same foot, we're not the same hand, we are a body. Together, it creates a person. But all the same, and it just is a pile of the same thing. And if we constantly look for what other people are doing, how other people are behaving, how they express their joy for God, we can it'll just feel like we're alone the whole time, because there can be similarities, but it's not meant to be the exact same, because if it was, we would all be robots. And
I wonder who's the butt.
oh my gosh, Christina, this is why she's in the corner. I've made her speechless. Congratulations. Yay. Anyways, again, if we were the same, we'd be robots. And it goes kind of into free will, because if we didn't have free will, we'd all be the same mindless, I don't even know how to word this, entity just walking around. But we're not. We were given free will. We were given the ability to think and have minds of our own. And if...
I think it also ties into creativity. You're allowed to be creative in your own way and express and worship God in your own way.
Yeah. I mean, Lord knows I can't draw for the life of me. So doing that in praise of God would look so much differently than somebody who that is their way of worshiping God. I would draw stick figures and it would still look like a 5-year-old's drawing, and a 5-year-old would draw it and it would look immaculate. There's differences, and there's differences for a reason. And if we constantly just keep comparing ourselves, constantly keep looking for what's not there, because not everyone is meant to be able to draw the same way. I mean, even with art, you look at it and people see it differently. People see the same piece and see different things. And I just take that mentality, and with worship, we can worship God and he feels it all the same, that he enjoys it the same, and he dwells in it the same, and it doesn't have to be the same to worship him. I know for me, I love singing, and I love just looking around and seeing his creation and talking to him about it and being wow, God, that looks amazing. You were able to do that, and that's so cool. And somebody else, they do it by playing an instrument. That's how they worship God. Or somebody else goes and they draw, and they draw these immaculate things, and to them, that is how they celebrate and praise God. And as an outsider looking in, you would be why are you drawing that? Or what is that purpose? But for them, it is so intimate and special to them and God. And that's the beauty of it. Everything we do for God is unique and special and perfect for that person. And we're not meant to fit a shoebox. We aren't meant to fit under an umbrella. We are each our own umbrellas. And if you're constantly looking to be a purple umbrella when you're a blue umbrella, you're never going to get there, because you're not meant to be a purple umbrella. You're meant to be the blue umbrella. And once we're able to get to the point where embracing being the blue umbrella, you're going to find so much joy and so much warmth in being able to feel and be the blue umbrella. You're never going to feel like you're in the right moment when you're constantly trying to be the purple umbrella, because again, you're not the purple umbrella. And
that's a great book, by the way, The Blue Umbrella. Love that book.
I didn't even know that was a book.
It is a book.
I was thinking of The Ugly Duckling and I didn't want to say that. So.
Oh, shoot.
But yeah, if anyone's read The Blue Umbrella, how did it go?
It's horrifying. The end is so sad. What do you mean?
I didn't know that. Again, I've never read The Blue Umbrella. I was just using that as an analogy. But yeah, you're never gonna be happy or feel that joy if you aren't embracing how God created you to be. If God wanted you to be the purple umbrella, he wouldn't have made you the blue one. And that was something that took a lot of time to actually allow myself to accept, because it felt like I had put so much time and effort in trying to be a purple umbrella, and it's like, wait a moment, why am I trying to be something I'm not? I am not what everyone says about you, because that can be so hard, because you hear everything that people are saying and you want to live to their expectations, and it's like, wait a moment, we're not meant to please and live for them. We're meant to live and please for God. And if he made you the blue umbrella, why are you then trying to go and be the purple one?
You keep saying blue umbrella and like bringing back the traumatizing thing that book was.
I'm sorry. I can't change the analogy now.
No, you're good. Keep going.
But like, again, it goes back to, are you going to have both feet standing with God, or are you going to have one foot standing with the world and one foot standing with God? Because if you're doing that, your foundation is crumbled pieces of sand and not the rock that it needs to be. He is the rock. And if you don't have both feet on there, you're going to slip and fall. And it wasn't until I almost started slipping and he reached down and grabbed me that I realized that I wasn't standing on him completely. I was standing on two different stones that kept moving away from each other. And it was like an eye-opening experience, because for so long it felt like I was doing what I was meant to do. And that, again, like I said, I had one foot standing on the world's rock and the other standing on his. And the world's rock had 3 distinct cracks in it that were continuously breaking the more I stood. And the more I continued to try and please people as well as trying to serve God, I kept finding myself further and further away, because, again, you're not meant to please people, because people can hurt, people can destroy, people can hate, and those are all things that God isn't. And how can you serve 2 very distinct and different things at the same time? And you can't. And once that was shown to me, it was like, wait a moment, how long I've been standing on a rock that had cracks in it? How long was I going to allow myself to be there and feel a false sense of security? Because it was a false sense of security. It could only hold you for so long before it would crumble. And once it crumbled, your foundation is gone. And I'm I'm sorry, but on that note, we will see you in the next segment momentarily.
Hello and welcome back to
God, You're Baking Me Crazy. Christina is now going in the corner again. Okay, now that she's out of the way, something that I just wanted to say as like kind of like a closing is the next time you find yourself in that situation where you're comparing yourself to others, comparing your relationship with God to others, go to God, ask him, am I supposed to be doing that? And if you are, he'll guide you into it. And if you aren't, then you aren't meant to do that. Like,
that's such a pray about it answer.
I know, but like,
having problems.
okay, but like, going to God is literally what he wants us to do. Like, part of the relationship that we have with him is he wants us and literally tells us to go to him for anything. We can literally just sit in his presence and be like, hey, what up? Or you can have a deep, meaningful conversation. I mean, think about the experiences you have with your friends and family. Do you always go to them with the same things? No. You vary. Like, they may have some similarities, but you vary with each interaction you have. You're not meant to have the same interaction with God every single time. He wants you to dive deeper. He wants you to sometimes just sit there and listen. And listening is sometimes a lot easier said than done, because I know for me, like, my mind like goes a mile a minute, and sometimes it feels like I'm shutting out his voice and like I'm asking for him to clarify things, and then I'm not sitting and allowing him to clarify. And it's like, why are you asking if you don't want an answer? Or if you're not going to allow yourself to hear the answer? And
it's kind of like, have you seen the thing where it's like you're asking God, and then before, or he's answering, and instead of listening to his answer, you're going, wait, do the thing. Pretend you're asking God something.
God, are you there?
I'm here. And then you're like,
and now I see a butterfly. Oh, wait. Don't I need to like get groceries or something? A dog!
That, as well as it's like, God, do I do this or this? And God's like, hold on, relax, rest. First, you gotta, oh, wait, no, God, give me an answer. Like, okay, I'm gonna give you an answer. Here, do that. No, God, like, give me an answer, God.
Like, we try to put God in a box, and he's, I don't know how to compare that, but he's not a box.
He's creative.
Yes.
He has a sense of humor.
He does.
And
he very much does.
And it's like, God has his own character, his own will, his own emotions. He is God. But I think sometimes we forget that, and we're like, oh, God exists to serve me, which isn't true.
No.
Or God exists to cater to my wishes, which again isn't true.
Mm-mm.
You're forgetting that he has his character, his will, his emotions, and he is who he is.
Mm-hmm. Which is why I like God's plan over my plan, because God's plan is always going to win. And we may have our entire 15 years of our life planned out, and God's looking at that and going, haha, you wish. Like, this is actually where you're meant to go. He's not going to be like callous in that regards, but
and his plan's like always better.
Yeah.
Because he knows us more than we
Mhm.
know ourselves. He knows us in the future as well. Something that we want now might not be something that we even want to consider in the future.
Yeah. Or something we want now may actually be a very like dangerous thing of thorns. Like we don't know exactly what we're getting into, but he does. And sometimes it's like, oh, but God, why? And it's like, that's why it's so special to have obedience, because he knows why. And if he is letting us know, like, hey, you shouldn't be doing that, the beauty in having the obedience to go, okay, God, thank you for letting me know, and going into what he wants us to do is so cool to see, because he literally knows what's going to happen and how it's going to plan out. And I know, like, when I went through and did what God wanted me to do, I saw the beauty in every little thing. I looked around and was like, that's why you wanted me to do this. And I remember times where it's like, oh, but God, I want to do this. I want to do it my way. And that my way sounded good in the moment, but it only lasted for a moment. It was fleeting, and then it was gone. But what he wanted for me lasted for the rest of my life. And I get to look back on that with so much joy and so much peace. And then every time I went against what he wanted, I didn't have that joy or peace. It felt constantly fleeting, like I was running to it, but it was always just one step further. And it's like, if you're asking God to help us, why are we then turning away and not wanting his help? Like, he's there, and he's there with open arms, and he loves us, and he wants us to go to him. But going to him and actually listening and hearing what he wants are two different things, because I can go to my mom but not actually be with my mom, if that makes sense. A last food for thought is, if you forget everything else I say, just remember this one thing. If you're a blue umbrella and you're trying to be a purple umbrella, you're never going to be the purple umbrella, because you're not meant to be the purple umbrella. And on that note, we're actually going to do a little teaser for our next episode, starring a special guest. And Christina, take it away.
Okay, it's gonna be really cool because she's a really cool person. Not that you aren't, but
She's a cool person. I really like her.
yeah. We're basically gonna be not debating, but kind of debating.
Friendly fire. More fire than friendly.
You're gonna get a little insight to how our conversations usually go, which is, so we're gonna be talking about old Earth versus young Earth creationism, theistic evolution, all interesting stuff that I love to talk about. And again, remember, tolerance is not that we have to agree, but we can disagree while still being respectful of the other person. That's basically what we're gonna do, and it's gonna be so much fun. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna go back and forth so much. But yeah, so we have two different sides, and that's all I'm gonna say for now.
But I don't want to spoil it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be really cool. We've been wanting this for a while, and we're so excited to share it with you. It will mainly be them two speaking out, picking
That's
up
why
a little
Ayala
bit.
put me in the corner today.
No, it is not.
It is. You're like, shut up, Christina.
Shut up, Mom. Silence from you.
You're cut off from talking. I said it first.
Bye. You were cut off from talking. And on that note, Christina, go back to your corner.
You know what? This is me actually coming out of my corner. The next episode I